let's be honest, there are authors whose books are hit or miss for me this year, but there are so many other authors whose books are amazing, whose books have elevated my reading game, elevated my mindset, insight, whether it's into social commentary, political commentary, complex relationship goals and dynamics, and dealing with so many different things: crime fiction, thrillers, loss, grief, information about themselves, whether through memoirs or autobiographies. And listen, I want to get into 7 of my favorite authors. Now, 2 of these are not recent authors. They've been here before and you know them, okay? But the other 5 are new to me authors, and I'm so excited to get into those. If you are new here, my name is Darnaya, Darice, first name, middle name. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate all the love. Let's keep it going. Let's keep growing, and let's keep rising, reading, and learning together. Okay, we're going to motivate each other. All right, this is a community of positivity. This is a community that believes in being lifelong learners and also enjoying and entertaining yourself. Okay, whatever hobby or interest that is. So let's get right into it. Listen, the first 2, they're no longer with us, but they are classic writers, okay? And they have been more than writers. And then these 2 I'm going to pop on the screen. Dived into more of their work this year. And so that's why they're on this list, and they will always be on my list. They need to be on yours, okay? If you haven't read any of their work, please go try them. But the 3 that I have right now with me, for Maya Angelou, I've shown this on my channel in other videos, so go check it out. But Wouldn't Take Nothing for My Journey Now. This is for women. This book is for really anybody. If you're looking to elevate your journey, get some motivation, inspiration, insight, and be okay with who you are and walking boldly in life, in your life, and understanding that your choices aren't necessary. They don't define you for the rest of your life. You may have been somewhere in that moment. You may have went a wrong way, or figured out later, oh, this wasn't right for me. But she always will encourage you to stand on business. So if you haven't read this one, go read this one. It more so reads like affirmation, devotion, a motivational book, if you will. Let me give you some of the chapters really quickly, and I'm gonna move fast. I'm gonna try to move fast through this video to not keep you long, but stay to the end, okay? Get through the whole video and leave me some feedback and some comments, okay? But some of the chapters in here: In All Ways a Woman, Passports to Understanding, The Sweetness of Charity, New Direction, Style, In the Spirit, Is Anyone Ever Too Much? And she has a chapter in here called What's So Funny? Okay, because why you laughing? Why you laughing when ain't nothing funny? I know those are double negatives and we're not supposed to do that, but listen, we break the rules, okay? We are rule breakers. We are rebels over here. No, but this was a great one. So if you haven't read that one, go read it. We all know I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings. This was her first autobiography. The lovely queen has 7 of them, okay, available for you in each stage and parts of her life. This was first published in 1969, I believe. And Maya was not just a writer, not just a poet, not just an orator. She was an activist. She was a motivator. She was a dancer. She was one who went through life and had some struggles. She was a single mom, okay, and she raised her son to be the same. Her son could put together words just like her. And if you don't know who he was, his name was Guy Johnson. And Guy, during her memorial service at Wake Forest, had said, and I wrote it down because I want to get it right. He said, she left this mortal plane with no loss of acuity and no loss of comprehension. The mother, Miss Maya Angelou, was in the process of writing another autobiography about national and world leaders, her experiences with them. She, in the last 10 years of her life, wrote 4 books. And so I hope we get to get all the fruition of her work. And the one I actually read this year was her second one, Gathered Together in My Name. I did a whole review with her and Rosa Parks. And I'm telling you, if you haven't read this one, this is my favorite so far. And I definitely want to get to the rest of her autobiographies and kind of do them in order. Okay, moving on. James Baldwin. What I read from him this year, Go Tell It on the Mountain. And this is an autobiographical fiction. So you get up until this is dealing with him turning 14. And he is raw. If you never read any James, go read James Baldwin. He's going to give you the real. He deals with so many themes when it comes to race, masculinity, class. He deals with social dynamics and complexities of his time. And so he is, if you never watched any of his interviews, look him up on YouTube, because our leaders, their speeches, their own words, in their own words. Don't get secondhand hearsay. Get it from them, because they're going to give you the context. They're going to give you the real, where they're coming from and why they're coming to you that way. And he was also one born in August. He was born August 2nd. I was born August 1st. Okay, a day after a fellow Leo. Okay, and so this was so well written. I do want to pick up Notes of a Native Son. He also wrote Giovanni's Room. He wrote so many, a collection of essays. He's just dove. He was just so amazing, and we cannot forget about his work. And not just when we're reading the works, not just forget about their work or read their work, but also put things in action, put some programs, some systems for our communities in action that we can employ to help us elevate. Okay, so those are my first 2. Hang on in there. We have 5 more. We have 5 more. My next favorite author, you heard me talk about it at the beginning of the year. I will continue to talk about him. He have just released a book, King of Ashes, which, if you watch my wrap up, you'll hear my thoughts on it. This is my least favorite of him, but it doesn't mean he still writes a great story, but he is still my favorite top author. He is a new author to me, and his birthday just so happened to be August 4th. So he's another fellow Leo. Okay, but this man, he knows how to write a story. Whether you like him or not, I'm sorry, he knows. But my top book of his will always be Razor Blade Tears. I read this January. I started the year with Mr. S.A. Cosby. He writes crime, Southern crime noir. He's from Newport News, Virginia, if you know about the Hampton 757 area, okay? And this was so good. He's going to throw some themes in there at you, okay? He's going to talk about the issues with sexual orientation and the relationship dynamics with parents and dealing with the choices of your children as adults, and then dealing with loss and grief and getting vengeance for that, while also working through yourself of, man, I should have been there for my child while they were alive, or while he was alive. And you're dealing with 2 sons in this book here and 2 fathers. And oh my gosh, the dynamics of Ike and Buddy Lee is just amazing in this book. So if you haven't read it, go read it. I've also read All the Sinners Bleed. This is my second favorite by S.A. Cosby. Of course, his is always going to be in that southern town. Every time there's something going on. And this, you're getting into religious issues and faith, and how faith, or not faith, I want to contemplate how doctrine, religious doctrine, leads to bad behavior and treatment of people. Okay, we healthy minds, unhealthy minds. You're dealing with that in this, and you have a black sheriff in this one, and he's trying to deal with that local community of what's going on and the unhealthiness of it all. Okay, the minds. All right, and then I read this year My Darkest Prayer. I read this the month before last, I believe. This was my third favorite of his. This was actually his very first book. And you can tell it's his first book because every time someone says anything, it's like so-and-so said or said, da-da-da, said that when you know. So as you read, take note of that. Give the author grace on their first books because they kind of get a feel of themselves. But I laughed throughout this book. This book was hilarious and relatable because it was one that went into the funniness and the craziness of the Black church and what goes on when things go down, and also understanding that these people are adults and they're making adult decisions. Okay, so S.A. Cosby, he is my top favorite fiction crime thriller mystery writer, if you will. My next favorite is none other than Miss Kennedy Ryan. I read Real by her early this year, and it was in the same month that I read S.A. Cosby's Razorblade Tears, and I thoroughly enjoyed this book. At first it started out, okay, where you going with this? Because the sister in this book, why? The sister ended up having relations with the other sister's ex-boyfriend. It was just starting out like, let me think about this. But this book, the more you read, it's a full story. I did not want this story to end. I believe it's like over 400 pages. It comes with a reading guide, and I thoroughly enjoyed my first read by Kennedy Ryan. And I wanted to dive into all her other works. I found out she majored in journalism at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. She is an advocate for autism, you know, so she's gonna deal with a lot of themes in her book. She gets into DV in her books. Like if you read the Hoop series, girl, you may be mad. You just may throw the book because you mad at the characters, the male characters in this book. But then the love interest in this book just saves the day, but not in a crazy way. It's a relatable and gradual concept. And so my favorite in the Hoop series was Long Shot and Hook Shot. And I also have, if you see here, Before I Let Go, This Could Be Us, Can't Get Enough, which is a Skyland series. Everyone knows about that. Miss Kennedy, she writes a well-written story, complex issues, and knows how to put it together. It's not just romance, it's more to that. It is life, because life is complex. We are complex, the choices we make. And so I love that it's not fluff in her books. Her books, she's going to take you there. Now, her earlier work, I started the Bennett series. I did not like that series, but that is an earlier series by her. But remember, we give the authors grace to grow, because if I'm going to write a book, I want you to give me grace and stay with me while I grow, okay? My fifth favorite author. We're almost there. Hang in there. Okay. You know how they be in church like, woo, we wrapping up. We almost done. We're about to let you go. And they preach for about 20 more minutes. No. But Taylor Jenkins Reid. OMG. First book I read by her this year, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I've seen this recommended by Bookmark by Aaliyah. If you don't follow her channel, follow her channel. There's so many great people. Kiana Chris, Jordan's Bookshelf. That's Jordan with 2 N's. Lily reads, Shaughnessy, Lex reads, Anita's Library. It's just so many booktubers I love to follow. Desmond Z, Smitty, just so many great of you out there, and I appreciate you all. But then I also read Carrie Soto's Back and Atmosphere. My favorite is still Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and then Carrie Soto's Back and Atmosphere last. But Miss Taylor, she's from Maryland. She's also an 80s baby. She was born in 1983. So, you know, she is just awesome. She writes complex reads. I believe Malibu Rising is one of her works that's being adapted into a Hulu television series. So that's amazing. I haven't read that one, but I'll get to that one at some point. But she writes, to me, she throws some romance in there, but it's more so contemporary women's fiction, if you will. Like, you're going to get some complex issues, and the characters in there are so rich, and you're going to get a story, and she has those characters that you love to hate to love. You know, they're in the gray, because no one is just good or just bad or just positive, just negative. Life is happening, and because of like those characters are making decisions based on what is happening in their life's experiences, who's in their life, who's not in their life. And so that is what you're getting from Taylor. And whether you're talking about Hollywood, old Hollywood fictional star, or whether you're talking about a tennis player and Carrie Soto's back, she knows how to write a story. Number 6, Miss Tia Williams. Now, if you don't know, go watch my a couple videos ago. I did a book review on 7 Days in June. This was my very first book by Tia Williams, and I just read it last month, and that was July 2025. Okay, that's it. Whenever you see this video, it was July 2025 when I read this. This book was so good. I'm so glad I was gifted this book. I'm telling you, oh my goodness, this was my first read. So if you're just starting reading Tia Williams, you know, I haven't read any of her earlier work. I did see the movie, The Perfect Find, so I'm not necessarily going to read that one because I saw the movie. The movie part, the book may be better than the movie. The movie was a little bit cheesy. It was cute, but just a little cheesy. But this, OMG, if you are a parent, mother, father, boyfriend, husband, girlfriend, wife, whatever you are, this is just a great story, and it gives insight into teenage mindsets growing into adulthood, how they adjust. It gives insights into parenting and how parenting and how you grew up can affect how you parent. It also shows you that your children are paying attention to you and what you do, how you behave, the choices you make, why you make them, who you bring around, why you bring them around, how it affects them. This book was so hands down good. Then I followed that up with Audrey and Bash Are Just Friends. This is more of a YA, and this follows her daughter actually. So you have the mother in here, Eva, and the daughter in here, Audrey. The daughter here is very smart, witty, she's very observant, but she also goes through that some teenage issues on her own, her mindset. The mother has a baby at this point, a new baby, and she's going through those complexities of feeling like, am I being replaced? Even though she is smart as she is, and that goes to show you, someone can be very smart, very intelligent, but they still have human emotions, obviously. They still gonna go through those ups and downs. Do you love me? Do they not? Am I being replaced? Am I not? Can I just be free? I've been doing everything right, getting the grades, behaving. Can I just have some fun? That's what you're going to deal with in this book, and it gets into some teenage romance. They're very cute and subtle. So Tia, faith. All right, so I had to get up and grab the books, but if you made it this far, that means you have made it to my last favorite author so far, and this is a very brand new author to me, and her name is none other than Danielle Island. Why I dropped the book, y'all? Why I call this lady Danielle Allen, like an Allen? It's Allen, Allen. But I'm reading Curvy Girl Summer currently. I'm on page 246, and I have some tabs in this book. And the way I tab is like on the inside there instead of doing the outside, because I don't really like how the tabs hang on the outside and they get bent up and things. So now I just lay them on the inside and I make a note on the tab. My favorite chapter in here was I believe it was chapter 4 so far. And that chapter 4 is very hilarious, where she's talking to a bartender. Now this girl, this book is following a young lady named Aaliyah, and Aaliyah is on the thicker side. And this book, it's a romance and it's spice. She starts right off with the spice. I'm going to tell you, she don't hold any cut cards, okay? But it is an adult. You're dealing with someone who is close to 30. Her birthday is coming up, and she really wants to settle down. Also, she's getting pressured from her family, her mother, father, and her uncle, but the grandmother is more so understanding. Now, the uncle in here, he's out of order, he's out of line, and we have some family members like that, and the parents aren't really setting the boundaries. Like, he wouldn't be coming to my house talking to my daughter like this, okay? No, sir. No, sir. Because he's like, I won't give you a yacht. He has this yacht, and he'll sell the yacht unless she has a boyfriend or a husband. He's like, I'm just worried about you being alone, and life is you're not getting any younger. You need to have kids. And it's like, whoa, hold on. Number one, no, I don't. Okay, everybody's life is not the same. And we're living in that age where people are getting married later on. They are able to have kids later on if they so choose or want to, or in the mind space. Everybody don't need to have kids the way they behaving and thinking. Okay, when you're nice and ready and you have a foundation, we learn from we learn. But this book is very good, very spicy. It is a romance book, so but I love the concept here. It is definitely relatable. She has some friends, Nina here. I will be reading this next. This is also on my TBR for this month, Plus Size Player, and this is her friend Nina, and this book follows Nina. But she goes through a series of dates, but there's this one guy who works as a bartender who just so happened to have a full-time IT job. His family has a bartender, has a business that he helps run at night, if you will. And so he kind of helps her, give her advice through these dates, and he's like, bring your dates here since it's the first time and I can keep watch. And along this journey, she is talking to the guy. They're spilling the beans, giving insight to who they are, and they're clicking. And so this book is good. Danielle is a good writer. She's becoming a favorite when you're talking about the romance genre, so I'm excited to dive into more of her work. Let me know if you read any of these books, if any of these are your favorite authors. Thank you so much for staying this long. I said I wasn't going to go that long, but I kept it long, but it's okay, all right? I hope you've been inspired or motivated or got some insight in some type of way in this video. And until next time, you know how I close. Always remember to keep rising.
I'm telling you that there ain't no other way. Pack your bags and leave.